Okay, hello everyone. After a nice, delicious history and lunch, it's a bit difficult to concentrate and present a lecture. I'm Christos. I'm the founder of SIMPRAXIS Architects based in Cyprus, or Cipar. How do you pronounce it in, I think it's Cipar? Cipar, yeah. Okay, I will discuss about the public and the private projects and the role of the architect. I will take you through two of our projects, one public and one private. And in the time I have, just to highlight some main points of our role. For those who don't know, Cyprus is an island. We share many common things with Croatia, as a nice coastline and sailing. Okay, SIMPRAXIS Architects was established by myself and my partner. He used to be in MIT and working in the States. I was in Manchester and working in the UK. And we had some common understanding about how we wanted to change the world immediately after university. So we set up the office in Cyprus. We decided to be like a small boutique office. Now we are approximately between 8 and 10 people. And some of our work is architectural competitions. We participated in more than 25 competitions with awards and distinctions in 13 of them, and we won twice the State Architects Award in Cyprus. We had 6 projects nominated for the EU Miss Van der Rohe Awards, and we're mainly dealing with residential, public, commercial, healthcare, cultural, urban interventions, and competitions, as I mentioned before. I will go through some projects that we did. This is a house in the coastline. Some interior photos of a block of flats. We pay attention to details, and so this is a renovation project. This is, this is a theater that for this project we won the State Architects Award in Cyprus in 2019. This is a project, an urban intervention. Is about the unification of an archaeological site in the city of Paphos. It's a coastline city, similar to Pula. And I will go through this project later on. This is some competitions we won. So what's the role of the architect? You know, I think we can stay here and discuss for days, and maybe we'll not be able to analyze it and define it. Simply, I would say that the architect should be the maestro, the coordinator of a project. Everything should go through him, with all the specializations that exist today. We cannot, it's impossible to know everything, but what we can do is we can coordinate the specialists. I mean, we've seen so much, so interesting presentations from the sponsors about doors, about lighting, our role is to coordinate these people and use them in a good way to get the maximum of their knowledge, of their know-how, and incorporate in a big puzzle, which is the project. And the way we do it, the way we can manage these people, all this knowledge to come together, it's going to be an interesting result. So the architects should hold the role of the maestro. They should be useful. Clients, they want their architects and their consultants to be useful, to be relevant, to be valuable. And we should be in control. We should never lose the control of the projects at any point. I will take you through a private commission, which is a healthcare facility in Cyprus. It's just finishing these days. It's called the European Surgery Center. It's a boutique daycare unit with OR facilities. The appointment was made directly by the client, who's a doctor. He was our client before. We did some office renovation for him, so he came back. He wanted the full service from us, so with consulting before he even bought the plot. So together we prepared the brief. We gave him our consultations for the site. We did a search of areas that we could get permissions and build such a building. We got the go-ahead to create the consultants team, so we tried to get all the team around us that they would support us and give us the know-how, and also support our ideas. To be honest with you, it was our first healthcare project, so it was not a familiar case, we didn't have any experience on the healthcare, so we had to do a lot of studying, a lot of researching ourselves. We had to get deep into the legislations and see what was needed. So we did all the initial discussions with the authorities, and we ended up with a preliminary design. And the structure was a bit like, as you can see on the screen, it was a client, they appointed us, then we appointed the consultants, but they were not under our services. We coordinated them, but we tend to get our consultants to sign directly with the client, mainly for legal reasons. And I'm showing this just so we can compare with the following project, which is a public project. So we had, in this project, we had to appoint a civil engineer, basically a structural engineer, mechanical, electrical, a quantity surveyor, and some other professionals like acoustic engineers, lighting designers, facade engineers, and also a medical engineer. This is first visit to the site. We identified the site that was for sale, so the client bought the site, and we worked closely with the client in order to mature the project. He didn't have the funds to go ahead and build the whole project by himself, so it was, let's say, there was a bit of a speculation at the beginning. We wanted to mature the project up to a point that an investor would find it attractive and join in. So we did all the basic drawings, all the discussions with the authorities, and we prepared, negotiated, and applied for all the necessary permissions. And it's a bit of lots of bureaucracy, especially for medical buildings in Cyprus. You have to go get a license from the Ministry of Health, then go back to have all the electromechanical, then apply for the planning permissions, go through the fire brigade, go through the municipalities, environmental departments. So it was a lot of bureaucratic go back and forth. And in the end, we created the images and some promotional information. The project was, this is the images we produced for the client. So the project was on hold for like a year until we get all the permissions and until an investor would come in. As soon as the project was mature and attractive, we found an investor. I mean, the client found an investor through some of the big five audit. I think it was Coopers and Lybrand, and they helped him find an investor. There was a medical fund that was created, and then we got the go-ahead to proceed with the detail and tender drawings. So our role there was to coordinate all the consultants. We had to get back all the consultants' drawings and specifications and incorporate them in our drawings and be sure that there were no conflicts. So we, as I said before, we did the design concept and all the detailed drawings. We coordinated and negotiated and acquired all the permissions, and we prepared with the QS the bill of quantities and went out on tender. In Cyprus, I have to mention that we use we use the British system, the construction law and the British system. So we have quantity surveyors, we have bill of quantities, and we go out on tender with that. And then we do all the contract administration. In private projects, we use a contract that is based on the JCT, for those who know, is the Joint Control Tribunal of the UK, and which is different from the contracts we use in the public buildings, which is based on FIDIC. And this is just a photo of when the site, on site, when we started the excavations for the basements. This is just a photo of site meetings. We had weekly site meetings trying to resolve all the issues arising. And this is some photos of during the structure erection. The building is concrete up to the ground floor, and then it's a steel structure. This is some drawings we did with some studies we did for the facades. And then this is a facade of the back side, the back facade of the building. We used HPL, high pressure laminate, from Abate Laminati, Italian brand. Okay. So I just missed the. It's not changing on the. Yeah. Oh, okay. So. I'll just highlight some main points on the private projects. On the we use the different contract. As I said before, we use the JCT. On private contracts, architects can specify brands. We can specify specific materials, specific brands. I was listening before to some of the sponsors talking about specifications. It's completely different ballgame when you do a public building from a private building. You have the flexibility in private building to do changes subject to being in budget, and you can justify the changes at any point. You can go ahead and do that. The architect should coordinate the whole team of consultants All the contract administration is through the architect. And depending on them, you can choose also the contractors that will tender, something that you cannot really do on a public procurement project. But at the end of the day, you have to build a trust with the client. The client has to trust you, and they have to. You always you have to pass tests of being right in your decisions, of being on budget, and being wise, because at the end of the day, it's an investment. So for some people, it's about a lot of money being invested. So every single day you're tested. An example of a very specific work we had to do was the collaboration with many trades was for the facade. It was a very difficult facade to design and execute. Although we had a facade engineer, lots of the details came from our office. We had a very close collaboration with the cladding, with the HPL supplier and the installer, with the aluminum systems subcontractor, because I will show you some photos later. The whole building, the cladding is closing, and then it works, it opens automatically with vertical fins. The main contractor, the electrical subcontractor, and the structural engineer. This is some photos from during the construction phase. And this is a photo of the building with all these openings there. We had them it was before the installation of the fins, which is the end result is like this. Everything closes. It's a daycare unit, so basically it closes at 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon and opens up in the next morning. It was a niche. It was a niche market. It's a very high-end OR, operation rooms, for surgeries like plastic surgeries, like ophthalmology cases, like orthopedic cases that you can do it in the morning and then go home in the evening. So we wanted the facade to show this, to be able to, and so we were closing. The whole building can close off in the evening, and this is with the fins open. Okay, now I'm going to move to the public building. It was a competition. Paphos is a city, as I said before, it's a city on the west coast of Cyprus. It was the cultural city of Europe in 2017. So as part of that, they organized 4 competitions, architectural competitions. We won 2 of them. The one was the unification of the archaeological sites of Paphos, which had Roman remains. That's Cyprus, the map of Cyprus, and on the west coast, as you can see on the left-hand side, is Paphos. The difficulty of this project was that the site was in a Natura site. It was also an archaeological site, and there was a street, like a main road, that was dividing this archaeological site in half. So the brief called for unification, not just a passage over the road, but a unification. So it meant that they wanted the flora and the fauna to be connected as well again, because of the Natura characteristics of the site. The area it's a big area. It's a big urban site in the city of Paphos. And in the circle is the two archaeological main parts, and the dotted line is the main road now dividing this archaeological site. So we came up with the idea of creating a loop. As you can see, we created a loop to join this site again. And it was also, the brief called for some hard landscaping, some facilities to use for like exhibition centers and the resting places and spaces, etc. So talking about our role here was that the brief was ready before. We didn't have any involvement in the brief, just to compare with the private project. And as soon as we won the competition, we were appointed as the architects. Those are some images from the competition phase. And as I mentioned before, the problems was the Natura side and the archaeological side, and they were very tricky how to be sensitive and how to incorporate new infrastructure and small buildings in this site. This is some post from the newspapers when the competition was awarded. And we were appointed as architects by the municipality, and the structure compared to the private project, it was that the client, the municipality of Paphos, they signed a contract with us, and then we had all the consultants under our belt, so they had no direct contact with them. So legally, we were responsible for their work. At the same time, we had a relationship with the Department of Antiquities because it was an archaeological site, so we had many issues to face and many discussions with them in order to avoid possible delays during the construction period, because those delays would also lead to claims by the contractors and delays of the project. As I mentioned before, it was part of the cultural city of Paphos. So it was a project that it was co-founded by the European Union as well. So we had some time limitations for the funding. So just again, comparing with the previous project, all details and all specifications should be drawn and decided before tender stage. You don't have the flexibility, and you cannot specify any specific brands, and because we shouldn't show any favoritism. We had some cases back before, a few years ago, with some sort of corruption, and so all the governmental departments were very strict with that. There is a limited flexibility for changes, although you can do changes, but there is a whole procedure, bureaucratic procedure to go through. And the architect represents the whole team of consultants. So a big difference between the private project and the public project is that we are responsible for their work. Whereas in the private project, every consultant is responsible, registered in the chamber, is responsible for their own work. And all the contract administration was going through the architect, but was lots of bureaucracy. We spent 80% of our productive time during construction period to answer and write letters, and we became lawyers and accountants for the project, because every single item that was discussed had to be justified and with lots of documentation. This is those are some sketches from the competition phase, and I'm just going to go through and this is the same is the bridge that connects the archaeological site, unifies the archaeological site, and this is the stage of tender drawings, of the detailed drawing, and here as well, because the bridge opens up at the end and at the beginning, so we had to show how it works in every. We had like cross sections in every meter, every half a meter. It's like those are some working drawings again, and this is a sample. So I wanted to show the procedure from concept design and sketches to the detailed technical drawing, going up on site and having samples constructed for approval. This bridge is supposed to have soil and transfer the flora, let the flora and the fauna travel freely underneath. And it's curtain steel. This is also at the phase of construction. And there's some photos during the construction period that we had to approve samples. We had to be on site almost every week. And this is the start of the bridge, the beginning of the bridge, of this bridge, being used by public. Okay, this is a bridge, and I would like to highlight now and point out the column system. This is something we came up with a structural engineer, because, as I mentioned before, it's an archaeological site. So to avoid any problems, we created a bit of a random grid of columns, and we did some drilling before the contractor was even on site with the municipality. We highlighted the exact points of the foundation of each column to make sure that we didn't have any archaeological remains. And the way we did the columns with the structural engineer, we could just shift the columns a bit back and forth. So in case there were any archaeological remains, we could avoid them in some cases. This was done. I'm just saying this to highlight the role of the architect. They have to be proactive in many cases and think ahead. On the right-hand side of the photo is a covered area for some exhibition, for some like a small cafeteria, some playing grounds, because it's a big urban archaeological park. It's not only the bridge. And also we used materials like that they can be, we can reverse them, we can take them out, and we couldn't use lots of concrete and so the architect's real scope of work is to be the heart and the soul of any given project. in our case, I think every time we leave behind a piece of our soul, but it's always replaced by the satisfaction we get out of the creative process and the end result. Okay, hvala.